and this is my Milestone3 progress check technical video. So let's jump right to Visual Code. Okay. So for this week, I had to do 18 system requirements, in which I struggle a lot trying to make the login and create account system as most efficient as possible. So let me just show you the progress. So pm run dev. All right. So for this week, I basically did some research on how to realize how to performance certain functionalities that you can do on MongoDB. For example, let me show you here. Yeah, you can do on MongoDB. I was finding out how to do them in Sequelizer, because I'm using Sequelizer for this one. So this is a different project. This is a project that I found that I've been using as reference to like try and mimic and learn how to do one thing from one side to another. So for example, here you can see here they're using a mongoose and schema, the user schema. And if you go down here, you can see that they have customizable functions that will perform certain tasks for you, instead of what I did in my previous projects, which I had these kind of functions. I had them right in the router, so I didn't want to have that. So this basically what it does is it'll grab the user by email. It will check if the user exists. If it doesn't exist, it will just throw an error. Then it will like grab its bicrypted password, and it's gonna compare it to the password on the server. The password that the user provided is gonna compare it with the password that is registered in the server. If it's not a match, it will throw an error. If it's a match, it will return the user, and you will be able, here in router, you will be able to do the with the user, like you receive the user, and you'll be able to create a request session and like save information, so the whole program and app knows that the user is logged in. And then if you see here, it has like a user schema.pre and save. So before it saves, it's going to take the user and it's going to check if the password is changed or modified. If it's not, if it is, it's going to grab that password and it's going to be encrypted. So I was working on doing that for my project. So if we go here to my client, go to users, we have a create user where you basically grab all the user information and you just pass it to the API that will communicate directly. We're going to go to the API right here. We're going to go to the models users. Oh, sorry, not the models, the controller user. And here you see it's going to call this route, and it's going to grab the information that I sent, and it's going to create a new user. Oop. But before the user is created, here in the models, I managed to find something called hooks. That is kind of like that. That is kind of like this pre-function with the like we realized this, it would do this function before it saves. So I found kind of like here before validate. I did the exact same. Check if the user had changed the password, and then the user basically will decrypt the data, and then the password that was sent, and just save it into the user's password. So let me show you an example. Let's open the browser. Let's go to localhost 3000. So we have to log in. Sorry, let's create an account first. So let's create Fonda, Fonda Lala, Fonda, Fonda Smith. Email could be fonda@sample.com. The password could be ABC123. We create it, boop, and here you go. So you have the password. It's already decrypted, so there's no way where you can see this before. So if we go back to, let's go here to 3000, I'm gonna log in with the email was from the example, and if I remember correctly, ABC123. Before I click next, I just want to show you what I did for that one. So I went here to the users, and before in previous classes, what I did was I had it in, when I was creating a user, create an account, I will grab all the information and I will bytecrypt the password here inside the route, which for me it doesn't, I think it's more efficient doing it in the model, like the model doing that automatically instead of me doing it here and then saving it again with a new password into the database. So if we go here to the database, you can see that Fonda Lala is saved. Fonda, the password saved and everything. The encrypted password. We'll go back. So for the login, I was trying to do the same. So if we go here in my previous projects, if we go here to the login, you see how I'm grabbing the email and the password. I'm basically finding that user where the email is whatever you provided, and then it's gonna check if it's matched. It's gonna check if the password given and the user count password is matched. If it's a match, fine. It will save the a variable called logged in equal true in the request session. It will save the user ID in the request session, the user ID, and then it will send you back to the main page. I didn't want to do this process here, so what I did is I went to my user model and I created a custom function that will check, kind of like the other file that I showed, is that will check if when the user actually trying to log in, right? So find by credential is gonna grab an email and a password. It's gonna grab the user. It's gonna go to the database, look for the user. If the user doesn't exist, then it's gonna return null, like just get out of this function. If it exists, it will continue. It will check for a match. If it's a match, if it's not a match, it will return null. If it's a user, if it exists, it will return the user. So that's my model. Let's go to my client user right here, where you have the login user. So here you see I grab the email, the password, and just call a user with an await function, async await. So I basically make a call to my API post with this URL route and pass in the email and the password. If we go to the API, we can see here in the login, it's called, login, that we're grabbing the email and the password from the request.body, what we sent. And then here we're going to run our new created find by credentials, the email and the password. We're going to receive a user, and then that user, which I just realized I can validate here instead of in the, okay. And the user is gonna send this user back to the client. here, in the client, we're gonna check if this user, if it actually exists. If it doesn't exist, we send an error status and it's unable to log in. If it does exist, that means that the password is a match and everything, because otherwise it will just send null and the user wouldn't exist. It's gonna save the whole thing into the request session. For this one, I'm using session file store and express sessions, and I'm setting my whole session system right here. So I have the use express session, and I'm using the file store to basically create a folder where all my sessions are gonna live in. So let's go back to the URL, and here I'm gonna log in. You see Fonda. Well, let's first do something wrong. Let's I don't know. Let's try and boop. So unable to log in. Let's say we have Heinz Raquet, and I log in because that's my right like if you see here, that's my right email, and I use the same password so I don't create confusions. But oh, my bad. That's that. Okay, we go here. If we log in again and we try Heinz Raquet ABC2 and we try to log in, it's gonna give you unable to log in. I don't want to give unable wrong password, because the less information you gave to the person who's trying to log in, let's say the better. A little bit like you add a small layer of security on top of that. So let's try with Fondalala. On the example, you see log in. Boop, log in. Here you see log out. You see your profile. If we go to the file, here's the information with the user ID. If you go here, you can see here, that's the user ID, 0 blah 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 blah. So that's what I've been working on, doing kind of like validation and trying to make this work as efficiently as possible. And well, no, okay. Thank you very much, and goodbye.